Hello, Ole. I'm going to give you some feedback on your assignment 4. I'm going to focus a little bit on the editing phase of your writing. Um, there is a video you can refer to if you want a little bit more information on the phases of writing. If you find the plan for English, there's a link for the 3 phases of writing, or the phases of writing, I think it's called, where my colleague Gro just goes through what these 3 phases involve. Um, the editing phase is the sort of second to last thing you do before you hand in your text. And it's about sort of reorganizing and tweaking your text from the draft to something that is coherent and has taken its reader into consideration and has enough information structured logically, etc., to convey the overall message in an easy and smooth way, I guess you can say. So that's what I've been looking for, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Also, a little bit about the sort of overall structuring of the text, and 2 comments on the very local level towards the end. First of all, there's an introduction, and you've got subheadings throughout the text. So already from the beginning, this feels like a much more reader-orientated text than the previous one. So that sort of sets you off on a very positive note in the reader's mind. There's a very good, I think, organization of the paragraphs. You seem to have gotten the hang of what a paragraph is, and you have sort of a sufficient length, sufficient division of the information, etc. So that seems very good, and that creates a very credible and coherent impression on the reader. There's one thing I think you should consider is whether or not you've got enough information at all times for the reader to understand where you're going. It seems like you jump ahead a little bit. One example of this is when you introduce Breitenbauer, you don't tell me who he is. Give him a title, tell me where he works. Why should I care about his ideas or his research anyway? Also, you sort of start, when you talk about the comprehensive approach, a little bit in the middle of everything. What is the comprehensive approach? Define that, because you start talking about which elements of the Danish contribution to inherent resolve would be classifiable as comprehensive and which wouldn't, which I think is a very good analysis. It makes sense to do that. But as a reader, it's hard for me to gauge how, or to gauge it basically full stop, because what is the comprehensive approach about? And on that background, then I can follow whether or not one element is then comprehensive or not. Okay? So make sure when you edit your text that there is enough information, that you don't take information for granted or knowledge for granted when you write. Okay, so in more minute detail regarding the paragraphs, no lists, no bullet points, no dashes. Okay? We use lists and bullet points and dashes to convey information very quickly and without much nuance. And sometimes there are plenty of types of text, genres, where that's okay. I bet you write in some of them in your job where it's completely okay to have those types of lists, etc. In this case, we want prose, as in full sentences linked up, making a coherent whole, right? So no lists, no bullets, no dashes. Also, you tend to use a lot of subordinate, like parenthetic sentences, parentetiske indskud, right? And which is good. I approve. But there's one thing that makes it a lot easier for the reader to read those types of full sentences that have a parenthesis, as it were, in the middle, and that's a comma. So if you read through your text and you realize, okay, I could actually put this bit of the sentence in a parenthesis, it's like extra information, use a comma on each side, because that makes it so, it immediately signals to me there's something about this information that I need to place in like a hierarchy. And we do that instinctively, but that's what the comma signals. So consider your punctuation, especially with subordinate parenthetic clauses, right? Another thing you should consider when you read through your text is subject-verb agreement. I see that every now and again, not systematically, but every now and again you do have some errors regarding subject-verb agreement. So keep that in mind. Okay, so just to summarize, this text is more reader-orientated than your previous. That is really, really good. Keep focusing on the overall message of the text. In the editing phase, make sure that everything makes sense. At the very minute detail, look for correct punctuation and subject-verb agreement. Okay, that's it for me. Bye.